All right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minista. I am Zin Uru, and this week's message from the Minista is quiet strength and inner calm. Quiet strength and inner calm. I want to welcome you all here. So good to see each and every one of you. Those who've shot me messages this week, personal notes and, comments and things, who've been watching the Message from the Ministers. I just, I appreciate the time that we can spend together. I appreciate the time that we can all spend together. Because, in this time that we're actually in, we're moving through time. But in spirit, there is no such thing as time, and in spirit, there's no such thing as space. And so therefore, those who are watching this video right now, no matter how far forward in the future, or no matter where you're at, or where you're at in earth, we are all here together right now, right here, in this time, in this space. And any one of us could have been doing a million other things with their time and their space right now. Well, this is the choice that we made, We each make choices. We talked about this every week. What are the choices that we make in life? Well, one of the greatest choices we can make is calm endurance and inner strength. All right, so what did I call it? Quiet strength. Wow. Calm endurance and inner strength. Calm endurance and inner strength. Calm endurance and inner strength. We just had that, just shifted. It was originally quiet strength and inner calm. Let's call this calm endurance and inner strength. As a matter of fact, if I do have a pen here, I'm going to write that down because that fits the message of the minister much better this week. Calm endurance and inner strength. That's what was trying to come out earlier. It's been an interesting day for Message from the Minister. I'll tell you that. Before we get started here, I was out walking today, just going on my walk, and I had been contemplating a certain, theme for Message from the Minister this week, a certain message. And while I was walking today, I came up with the title. The title was just right on point. I knew where I was going to be going in the gospel of hip hop, what I wanted to read, what the definitions were. And I don't know, I went out for like a 30-minute walk, right? I got back home, had some things I had to take care of. This thing happened, that thing happened, and I didn't write any notes down. And usually when I don't write notes down, that's not a problem, because if I come up with the theme, I'll just say it to myself over and over again while I'm walking, or once I thought of it, if I'm not able to write it down, if I'm driving or something. And this comes from years of rhyming and MCing. Like sometimes you hear a line in your head and if you don't have a quick thing, like most people, we got our phone on us now to record it. But back in the day, like if you didn't have a recorder with you or a notepad, which you should carry, you had to say the rhyme over and over so you remember it. And so I came up with the theme and I said it. And so everything was good until I sat down to put the notes all together. And I was like, what was I supposed to talk about this week? What was I supposed to talk about this week? And this has happened before. And it was a good one, right? I was excited about it. I was just sitting there. And, I realized I was like, let me just open up the I Ching, the Chinese book of change, and let's just see what the inspiration is. Let me see if I just get the juices flowing, if the theme will come back to me. And I opened up the I Ching to one, and it was about oppression and exhaustion. Oh, that's interesting. That's certainly not the direction that this Message from the Minister was going to go this week. And I thought, well, I'll keep this in mind. I read the I Ching, and I was like, wow, this is deep. This might be what the message needs to be this week. But let me pop open the gospel of hip hop. Let me pop open the gospel of hip hop and see what I find, and let's see if that will ignite the passion this week. Not even the passion, because I got the passion, or if I wouldn't be studying and writing notes. But will that ignite the theme, the passion I had for the theme earlier? And so I opened up the Gospel of Hip Hop, started reading, like the first page, I just, and led me right to Endarkenment. And the passage that I read, I was like, wow, this is lining up with exactly what the I Ching is talking about. This is the message for the night. And as I was reading the message, I was like, man, this message is a little bit different. Like how am I going to work oppression? What is it? What is the words they were using again? What am I going to, oppression and exhaustion and oppression. How am I going to work that into Endarkenment? It's like, well, rest, when we get into Endarkenment, those who studied with the teacher last week and this week on the Temple of Hip Hop weekly broadcast that he's reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop, you'll see that Endarkenment is a style of rest, from having to shine our light all the time and being the light of our world. It's a time to cultivate our inner selves, cultivate our peace, go through, remain invisible to the devils and the demons and the ignorance that's always trying to get at us, And, it's not a safe, comfortable place to be in that way because, there's a lot of safety and comfort in shining the light. And, but there's a lot of mystery and beauty that gets found in the so-called darkness. And we realize that the so-called darkness is really just another form of light. It's just another form of light because before anything that we experience as light, at least according to the Holy Bible in the book of Genesis, before anything that we experience as light in our outer environment, the sun, these lights, even matter, which is a form of light, even before we experience any of that experience was ever created, God said, let there be light, and there was light. In the book of John, it says, God, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And some others have, in the beginning was the Logos. But the Word being the sound, vibration, and then God spoke a word, let there be light. Now, what was God in that space and time? Some form of water? I don't know, because we've seen now that the sound gone into a certain liquid creates light. The star in the jar, the sound creates light in liquid form. But it got me thinking, before the light, let there be light. This word was spoken, this sound was spoken, and then there was light. What was that like? What is that peace? Because everything exists now. Therefore, that time before light is still here in the present and in the now, because there's no such thing as time and space in that way. I'm thinking of the word that they use in Tai Chi, Wu Wei, the beginning. It's slipping me right now. But it's the primordial creation. It's the primordial existence. And not in the way that we think of the primordial existence like sludge and dinosaurs and stuff in the Western world, but the primordial state of being before any movement, before any sound, before any light existed, there was still a consciousness. There was still a way. There was still a being, and there is no word that can describe it. It's even beyond the Tao. And so when we think about that space before God said, let there be light, is still here all around us now. And that's that calm endurance and inner strength. That's where it's found. And that's mostly what we are. That's mostly what creation is that space. A lot more space in this room than there are walls. Like if these walls were all stacked together, they'd probably be about this high. They're about a foot and a half thick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say the roof 5, put some panels on, it's about that tall. It would be, you could hold all the walls in just this space right here. And then there would be a whole lot more space. And there's something to be said about that when we tune into that and we know that this space is us too. that everything around us is us, you know? I learned this lesson many years ago in a jiu-jitsu class when I was a white belt. Very early on in that jiu-jitsu training. And I was blessed to go to this, it was called the Bushido-Con in Reno, Nevada, or Sparks, Nevada, I believe. And this Bushido-Con was just incredible. I mean, it was just downtown. You really looked like nothing really special until you went inside. And it had the sliding doors, like the Japanese style sliding doors. And then there was a building, and then there was a central courtyard within the building with like the Japanese garden and just incredible. Like the jiu-jitsu mat was, this whole room was this big mat that you could take your falls on, and it wasn't hard ground, but it was stiff. Anyway, the professor there, Professor Leahy, very interesting guy. I could do a whole thing on him. With Professor Leahy, he was in his 80s. He was like 80 years old. And, he was just this gnarled old root of strength and vitality and youthfulness and seriousness. Like when he spoke, everybody listened. Like nobody wanted to mess with no Professor Leahy. And he was talking, and so he was showing how to, in combat or in jiu-jitsu, that he had somebody else. He was going to show a throw, like you flip somebody over and you throw them. When their weight's coming at you, you just go with their weight. You move their weight, right? And so he's sitting there, and while he's holding on to the dude, like this, he's like, see, this is just him. This is all he has is him. But me, I'm all of this. I'm the space in between our arms. I'm the space over here. He says, I'm the space around him, so therefore I am him. He's not me. He's like, I'm all this space. I am the floor. I am the wall. I am the ceiling. All of this is just an extension of me. He said, therefore, all of this is just an extension of my body. What's the best way for me to use my body and this extension of my body to disable and neutralize my opponent? Deep, deep philosophical meaning there. Because remember, like the traditional martial arts, like the traditional, the ones that go back for thousands of years. It's the martial art, the self-defense is not like fighting other people and be able to kick somebody's ass. It's defense against oneself. And we got to understand and overstand that, especially as hip-hoppers, as we're learning and mastering our elements and mastering ourselves and mastering our culture and giving new life to culture, a new word to culture, a new meaning to culture, and this new form of self-expression. We should see that like this environment that we're in, this space that we're in is just an extension of ourselves, and then act accordingly. And look how much peace is in your environment. In fact, the only thing in your environment that may not be at peace is you. Any of us. I'm not pointing the finger at you per se, but I'm saying any of us in our environment, if we're not at peace, there's nothing in the environment most of the time that's causing a disruption. Most of the time, when we're experiencing anxieties or fear or dread or sadness or depression or whatever that is that we're experiencing, it's not really anything that's actually happening. It's something that we're perceiving within ourselves first. And let me tell you, that's a good thing to experience that within ourselves. That's a good thing. It almost appears chaotic, right? But when we see it, it's a higher form of order because it's there to teach us something. It's there to teach us, it's there to teach us a lesson, a life lesson, a much needed lesson that we can learn in no other way, shape, or form. And that moment right there, my nobility, is where we are all at collectively. And if we're going to see through what's happening in the world right now, if we're going to look past it, we're going to see past it. The fall of the ignorant is inevitable. And this is an ignorant world right now, and a lot of ignorant things have been going on the last few years, really a long time, but the last few years, the concentration of ignorance, when it falls, be prepared. Because the fall of the ignorant can temporarily hinder the rise of the hip-hopper. Talks about this in the divine performance in the gospel of hip-hop. But while this is happening, while this shift is happening, this is the time that we plant our seeds. This is the time that we master our craft. This is the time that we discover and declare and know and say who and what we are, why we are, and what we're about. Calm endurance, inner strength. Calm endurance, inner strength. That's from performed patience in the divine performance. Now, why is it that calm endurance and inner strength is so important when we're talking about time and space and our reality and this being an extension of ourselves? Well, remember that this space in this room, when we look at it and we start interpreting it, we say, who is or what is, it's like not what's the matter with me, it's who's the matter with me. That becomes the question. Now, well, what's the matter with me? Why am I feeling like this? It's better probably to ask, who's the matter with me? And if we ask, who's the matter with me, most of the time, we're going to come back to ourselves. We're the matter. We're the problem. We are the own problem with us. Sometimes it will be somebody else, but those of us who are on this path of self-mastery, of discipline, we have to understand that like even our reactions to other people is our responsibility. So they might be doing some devious, evil things, and then we got to process that and learn about it. But calm endurance, inner strength, that's what gets us through it. And then we find out that like, a lot of times what will happen is this. Let's just take a step back for a moment. A lot of times what will happen is this. We'll walk through life and we have a certain philosophy or a certain thing that we believe or think about. And we really know it to be true. But we haven't really experienced it or put it to the test yet. So then life comes along with some kind of circumstances and just says, here you go. Here's an event for you. And it's going to completely change your course in life, and it's going to change the way you think and feel about things, and it's going to test you, and it's going to build character in you, or it's going to crush you. Choice is yours. And so all of a sudden, this event in life hits us, and we're like, I don't know if I can take this. This pressure is building up. What does it say? I'm exhausted. It's leading to exhaustion right here. And then all of a sudden, our philosophies, the ones that work are the ones that we stand strong with calm endurance and inner strength. Those are the ones that see us through, guide our way, light the day. And then those other philosophies, those things that don't work, we got to put them down. We got to let go. We got to, just say, hey, that don't work. Dao Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee taught that, in the martial arts, to just, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have a different, you learn all that you can and only keep what you can use. Certain body types fight different than certain techniques work better on certain body types, and so on and so forth. So like a guy my size will have a different style and technique than a guy who's, KRS-One size. KRS-One's 6'6", 300 pounds, man. The dude's fucking just a giant, man. He would fight way different than a guy like me, 5'9", 150, But the thing is that we learn and we know thyself, right? And so the universe gives us these tests, and then all of a sudden it's like, know thyself. And so we picked up all these techniques along the way. Then we've got to start putting and using those techniques and start putting them to work. And a lot of people don't have good techniques. And let's put it this way. When life kicks your ass, you'll go seek out those good techniques, right? When life starts kicking your ass, you're like, well, I got to get some new techniques or life is just going to kick my ass and I'm going to end up, whatever happens to those who life kicks their ass and they never recover. But like when life, I know this from experience, when life was like kicking my ass, right? Once I overcame it, once I found my center again, once I found my wholeness again, once I, and even saying again, like I didn't even have that before, like once I started learning and knowing myself and knowing who I really am and what I'm really about and becoming empowered, and once all of that started happening and I became empowered, the circumstances around me really hadn't changed, okay? The things that was like crushing, the events that were crushing my soul, have them, not seeing my children for, and just that whole mess and the whole divorce and all of that and losing just everything in life leaving me. Like when I had found myself and, picked myself up, dusted myself off, got my strength back up, did my Rocky training montage. Once that happened, once that moment happened where you're like, yo, I'm back. Like nothing changed, but me, the inside had changed. Not the outside. Not the outside at first. But the interesting thing is then, what is the problem? Who's the problem? Who is the problem with you? It's you. It's me. I'm the problem with me. You're the problem with you. Always. Always. And it takes a certain level of maturity and responsibility to take that, because we can look at the world and say, oh, this guy's a problem and that guy's a problem. But you have to understand physics and what physics is going to do. Physics always takes out the tyrant. That's why they got to lie, cheat, steal, hide, manipulate, mind control, all the dumb shit that they're doing to humanity right now. The physics is they're failing. They're going to fail. It's just, it goes against natural law. It goes against universal law. Therefore, it's bound to fail. Like one of these world leaders who keeps pushing this new world order agenda, sooner or later, one of them is just going to get murked. Like pop, pop, and done. And that's going to send a shockwave to everybody else who's trying that. Because this is nature. This is universal law. This is a wild earth that we live on. Like people, nature is always like birds chirping, the sun shining. And a tsunami, a hurricane, a volcano. That's nature too. A blizzard, that's nature too. Lightning and thunder. Fire, that's nature too. So now we talk about God, the universe, and nature. And when we talk about natural law and universal law, best believe that it's a tsunami and a storm and thunder and lightning is also part of nature. And that's how nature collects itself, corrects itself, cleans itself, cycles itself. So even like these world leaders and all what do they call them throughout history? The self-proclaimed kings of the earth and this, that, and the other, and the dictators and the presidents and I am so grand, I'll tell everybody what to do and where to go and where to stay through my mass media campaigns. Thou shalt bow before me. All those guys, like they're working against universal law. And those who follow those people and listen to those people are going against universal law too. And it's not always 100% of the time people are listening to like these talking heads of the state and these experts, these white splainers, there's these white experts all over the place, like in the media. People may not believe them 100% of the time, but if you believe them even 1% of the time, that means 1% of the time you're working against universal law. And so that 1% of the time working against universal law, you will eventually suffer the consequences of working against universal law. And we know this to be true because we've all worked against universal law at some time or space in this incarnation or another incarnation or many incarnations. So no matter where it's at, where you're at on your walk, whether you're at the place where you just got your ass whipped and you're laying in the dirt and mud, got a mouthful of dirt, elbows scraped up, nostrils full of dust, mud on your face, whether you're right there, whether you're running through life and don't even realize that you're about to get hit by life. You're just living in ignorance, ignorant bliss. You're on the ground in the mud. Whether you've just picked yourself up and dusted yourself off. Whether you've started your training again and started, your hero's quest back again, or whether you just standing tall and proud and you made it. Any one of those areas, calm endurance. What is it? Calm endurance and inner strength is key. Because there's a maintenance involved once you get back up. Once you get your dukes back ready, once you get your body trained and your mind and your temple right. There's all kinds of temptations and things like that. You got to keep it going. There's not like a point where it just stops and then it's all figured out. No. Then it becomes the discipline. That's the calm endurance. That's the inner strength. That's the fortitude it takes. Because the next thing might be around the corner, but when it comes around the corner, through the experience, through the wisdom, through the knowledge gained from the experience, we're able to deal with new things that come to us because there's something familiar about it. Oh yeah, I remember the last time I got hit with a wave like this. And I learned that the best way to get through it is remain calm, remain focused, not get all caught up in my emotional state. Run my emotions. Don't let my emotions run me. Me run things. Things don't run me. You see what I'm saying? And that's calm endurance. That's inner strength. That's the Zen, right? When we talked about martial arts earlier. That's Bruce Lee talked about just be indifferent when you're fighting. And the Daoji Kundo talks about in combat. And remember, when I'm talking about fighting in combat, we're not talking about physical fighting and physical combat. Sometimes that may happen, and it's good to know these, but these are universal principles that are applied to life. And so Bruce was saying that like, as we're prepared for life, as we're getting ourselves prepared for life, as we're staying focused on what it is, as the battle's happening, he's like, you don't get angry. When you get angry, feel that. Make yourself an angry face and watch how your eyesight gets narrowed and tense and your peripheral vision is gone. Therefore, you don't really see what's coming at us. Anger, squinty eyes. I'm angry. I'm angry. Look at how little my eyesight is because I'm angry, right? Happy. My eyes are bubbling and floating around. Not that you never be happy and not that you'll never be angry, But he's saying in combat or when that situation in life, just be indifferent to it. Be indifferent to the outcome. It's called letting go and letting God. Because you've trained, you've done everything that you can. So being calm while that storm is coming, being calm when this stuff is coming at us, being able to stay centered, inner strength, calm endurance. That's what wins the race. That's the victory of 1,000, miles. That's the heart of the champion. That's the hip hopper, my nobility. That's the hip hopper right there. Because adversity is here to strengthen us. And how do we get strength? Calm endurance and inner strength. It's right there. Because the inner strength immediately becomes the outer strength. And they both really work hand in hand because working out, getting your body back in shape, getting your strength up, it gives you inner strength. Just like, training in martial arts gives a young person, or anybody really of any age, confidence. I would say this in life. Anybody out there who's lacking in confidence, just give yourself 6 months in a martial arts class. 6 months and I'd say, just something there. You're throwing hands, boxing, learn some kicks, learn a little grappling, a little MMA. Learn however far you want to take it, you take it there. But if you lack in confidence at any stage in your life, you're lacking confidence. If you feel social anxiety when you're going out and about, find a good martial arts instructor. And stay away from what you think the movies is supposed to be about. Stay away from all of that. And just go and find somebody who is a calm, peaceful martial arts instructor. And just take it for 6 months. It ain't got to be a whole lifetime dedicated to it. 6 months. Your confidence will completely change because these are principles. And I watched it with myself when I was 12, 13 years old. And I've watched it with countless kids in classes. And I've experienced the same thing, in anything that we are self-mastering, really. We'll gain that confidence. You'll just gain confidence in life, mastering any aspect of yourself, really. But those who are feeling social anxiety and afraid to go out, you might have some deep-seated fears of not being able to defend yourself if something pops off. And the best form of self-defense is your feet. You can run away. That's it. Nobody gets hurt. You'll never be hurt if you're not there to be hurt. And that was the first lesson I learned my first day in karate. Pablo, he said, Sensei Pablo. This guy was this old seasoned vet from the Philippines. Dude was badass, man. Old Filipino dude, man. And he would sit there and he'd go, and he would crack his knuckles like this. Pop, 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 pop. And he had this big pop. And man, the dude was made of steel and iron. He was like 60 years old, man. And Pablo, he said, I'll teach you all the best self-defense in the world. He goes, I want you all to follow these instructions and you will never, ever lose a fight. And he said, this is the best technique you will ever learn. And so we're all, I was like a kid. I was like, oh, all right, what are we going to do? So he goes, stand there. He goes, get ready, run. and we were just laughing, right? And he's like, if you're not there, they can't hit you. He goes, if you don't get in the fight, you can't lose the fight. He's like, this is self-defense, And then the lesson came afterwards. If you can't run, if you can't get away, then it's time that you should be able to use your hands and your feet and your mouth and your shoulders, your environment, the space. All of that came into play. A great and valuable lesson in that way. That you could be out in your environment and be afraid. And just a certain physical exercise or a certain, form can get you out and your confidence up, like an inner confidence where you're able to interact with people on a more and better day-to-day basis. Like, I'm not talking to everybody right now. And none of my lessons are like, they're meant for each and every person who's on each and every step of this path, right? Whether you're not even aware, blissfully ignorant, and you're about to get your ass knocked over, whether you're face first in the mud, whether you're dusting yourself off, whether you're all cleaned up, whether you're starting your training, or whether you're at the champion level. Whatever that is on that cycle, like somebody is there, and you can, if you're at the champion level, that means you've been through all those other levels. If you're at that God level, you've been at all those other levels. When Michael Jordan's in God mode and he's teaching youngsters how to play, like Michael Jordan, like people are like, oh man, like Kobe Bryant mimicked Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan literally taught Kobe Bryant how to play basketball. It's amazing, like that interesting connection, like just how close and different these two beings were. But it was very mystical relationship in that way. But Michael saw Kobe as a younger version of himself, and he was able to guide him because Michael had been through that up to the, what they would call the God level. Michael Jordan's just unstoppable, or Kobe Bryant's just unstoppable. God mode, they call it. So to get to that space, there's a whole cycle people are going through. And a lot of people are running around, like they're blissfully ignorant, thinking that they're already in that mode and that they've already attained these things. And life is just like going to trip them. They're going to smash into the mud and the dirt and then rise up like champions do, if that's what their destiny is. What's your destiny? Where are you at with all of this? Usually every week I'll read a definition from the American Heritage Dictionary, 3rd volume, that usually the word is in the title. But this week I wanted to use just talk about the word hope. Because I was talking with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and him and I were talking about like how we've noticed a trend in so-called modern new agey spiritual thinking where like hope is considered like, oh, you must have doubt. You don't have belief. You don't have a full belief. If you hope on something, that includes that it may not happen. So if you believe it may not happen, then chances are it won't happen. And that's that's not right, because you got to remember, we're not the only ones thinking and creating. We're not the only thinker creator. We're not the only one. There's others thinking and creating. There's great and Holy Spirit thinking through us and creating through us. God is thinking through us and creating through us. And we are growing into that which we are becoming. So like, for us to walk around with the arrogance that we know all, well, okay, if you know all, then you don't need to be on no message from the minister, right? So to say that, hope is weakness, or hope is somehow unworthy of a divine-minded being, I took issue with that. And actually, I was using the word hope in a public environment one time. The 20, 30 people, it was at a gathering, a house gathering. And, I said, but we just hope that. And this woman stopped me, and she's like, oh, you can't use that word hope. You can't use that word hope. We don't use hope around here. I said, you don't use hope around here? That's nuts. Why? And she says, well, hope just means that there's the possibility that it can't happen. I said, exactly. She's like, well, that's not how we manifest. We manifest when we know that things will happen exactly how we see they're going to happen. I said, that's not how it works. She says, no, that's how it works. She says, okay, use hope in a sentence. And you disprove me by using hope in a sentence. And I said, well, I hope my uncle don't go to prison again. And it got quiet. And she said, oh, that's a good one. You're right. Okay, I take it back. And it was a funny moment. We both laughed. But it was this moment where, this challenge had come. And she wanted to test. And I'm up for that kind of testing. It happens all the time, especially when I'm out in public. And, so that moment was very important, because that's a concept and an idea that has kind of snuck its way in. And so this week when I was thinking about that, I was like, I got to, sooner or later, we'll put hope in, talk about hope on Message from the Minister. And then tonight, while I was just putting these pieces together, I thought hope is a great one. Calm endurance and inner strength. That's hope. That's faith. That's patience. Calm endurance and inner strength. This is something that we all need to cultivate for our lives and for the betterment of others. Let's look at this word hope. Put it up here on the screen. It's interesting, too, because hope is the first word after hop. And if we look here, okay, look at right here. Hope is spelled hop with that O-P. Hope is spelled hop. The O has that little squiggly above it, which means you go hope. Hope is spelled hop. Hope is hop. Definition number 1 of hope. To wish for something with expectation of its fulfillment. Now, if you all think about it for a minute, I was told that hope means that you're leaving a margin for error, that it can't happen. And it says right here, to wish for something with expectation of its fulfillment. See, when we expect things, we realize it, and this gets into endarkenment, this gets into the so-called law of attraction, this gets into so-called law of manifestation. When we get into expectation, expect it to happen in an unexpected way. But when we expect its fulfillment, it does happen. Number 2 in the archaic, to have confidence, to trust. So hope is faith. To have confidence is faith. Faith and confidence is the same thing. To have faith and trust, that's hope. Oh, we need more hope in this world. And you're going to see that here. We need more hope in our world, my nobility. To look forward to with confidence, definition number 1, to look forward to with confidence or expectations. See, we expect it to happen. And we have confidence that it's going to happen. Definition number 2, to expect and desire. And look at synonymous with expect. So when we hope for something to happen, We expect it to happen. I hope my uncle doesn't go to prison. I expect him not to go to prison. We're holding him accountable. He fucked up. He's repented. And he never did go back to prison. That hope wasn't misplaced. That hope was faith. A wish or desired accompanied by confident expectation of its fulfillment. Nowhere is hope a weak word. No, hope is a powerful word. It is hop. It is movement. Hop is movement. When we're hip hop, intelligent movement, hop is movement. Look at this. This is movement. This is faith in action. A wish or desire accompanied by confident expectation of its fulfillment. Something that is hoped for or desired. One that is a source of or reason for hope. And the team's only hope for victory. A lot of people's only hope is in Jesus. Other people's hope is in Shiva. Other people's hope is in their father or their mother. Other people put their hope in their children. Others put their hope in Steph Curry. Whatever that is. One that is a source of or reason for hope. Often hope, the theological, now this right here, definition 4. Does this seem weak to you? Somebody has a weak character is one of hope? It's the exact opposite. Hope is strength and empowerment. You want to talk about inner calm endurance and inner strength. Hope is calm endurance and inner strength. The theological virtue defined as a desire and search for a future good. Difficult, but not impossible to obtain with God's help. You see that? That's hope. When things look dark, when we're in the mud, and we know deep down inside, it may not look like it now, but my hope, I know that if I endure through this, and I find my inner strength through this, God is here helping me. And although it's difficult now, it's not impossible with God's help. See, hope is God's help. It's trust. It's confidence. See, it's faith. Hope is faith. To hope with little reason or justification. Look at the Middle English, hoppin'. From the Old English, hoppian. Hopper. Hope and hopper. Hoper. Hopey. Hope is hop and hop is hope. Hoped. H-O-P-E-D is spelled hop. Look at this up top there. Hoping, hopping, hoping, hopes, hops. Look at this word here. This is giving more depth and definition to our etymology on hop, hope. And I'm telling you, if anybody's going to tell you that you're weak because of hope, whatever. Because our faith is in God. God is helping us see it through. No matter what we're going in through life, when we know that God is there with us, even if we don't even see God, even if we are in denial or we're mad or whatever it is, and we just say, oh, God, help me out of this muddy mess I'm in my life. God will bring you out. God will help you out. But you got to be sincere. You got to come to God with an open heart, open mind, and surrender. That's the only way to approach God. Surrender. Not making a bunch of demands of God. God, what are you asking from me in this situation? God, what are you teaching me in this situation? And you'll notice when you're in prayer, that is calm endurance and inner strength. You're strengthening your inner self. It's calmness. Prayer is calming, being calm in your environment. Remember, look around your environment. If there's nothing stressful going on in your environment, but you feel stressed, then you're the problem. You're the stress in your environment. And it gets deep because you start getting in stressful environments and then realizing, I don't know how many times when I'd be on the tour with the teacher after I started, mastering that environment, instead of having it master me, instead of it, I went in head first, dove in the deep end of the pool to learn to swim. Once I learned to swim in that environment, people would come with stress all the time. Stress. And you just like, poop, 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 environment. I'm the peace in my environment. I'm the calmness in my environment. You can calm down an environment with just your word, the tone of your voice, just your vibrational being, the thoughts you're thinking, the heart warmth, the warmth of the heart. Just a number of ways. It's frequency vibration. To calm any environment, you might have to say something. You might even have to raise your voice to calm an environment. You gotta master your environment. You can't let your environment master you. And then you'll realize that when I master my environment, that means it's my responsibility. Remember, I said, as soon as I came up to that champion mode, the circumstances hadn't changed, but everything had changed because the perception had changed. My perception of the event had changed, not the circumstances. So that means that being that is just a perception away. Your inner peace is just your perspective away. You just change your perceptions, change your perspective, change your sight. And that peace is like instantaneous. It's like right there. It's already present in your environment. Going riffing off of this, but remember that in nature, which nature follows natural law follows universal law. It's a reflection of universal law. It's an expression of universal law. That in nature, in natural law, when you're afflicted, when you get cut by a branch or something poisonous, that right near there in nature is the cure. Somewhere there's a root or a leaf that you could put on the cut and heal yourself. So realize that if the environment seems stressful or whatever it is, that the cure is right there in the environment. You are the cure in your environment. And where is that found? Calm endurance, inner strength. Calm endurance and inner strength. Now see how that happens all of a sudden? All of a sudden it's wow, wait a minute. The circumstances didn't change, but my perspective changed. And then once my perspective changed, I began to change the circumstances. Or I just accepted the circumstances for what they are. This is how life is presenting itself to me. Who am I to judge how life presents itself? Who are any of us to judge? Who are we to judge how life presents itself to us? Life is choosing to present itself to you exactly how it's choosing to present itself to you. Whether you think that's good or bad, wrong or right, evil, whatever it is, embrace it for what it is. I don't like how life is presenting itself to me. I'm still going to embrace it. Why? Because then my perspective can change and then I can flip the script. Then I can change. Then I can become empowered. Calm endurance and inner strength. You have within you the answer and the cure. In fact, you are the answer. And with hope through God, then you're empowered. Then your answer is empowered. Then you're empowered. Let's read from the Gospel of Hip Hop. Put it up here on the screen. We're going to read through it in Darkament. You'll see this, let's see, Monday, so we'll just read in Darkament track 2. So you go back a couple lessons and the teacher had read last week in Darkament, the 8th Overstanding in the Gospel of Hip Hop, presented by the teacher KRS-One in Darkament. I just wanted to go over something this week, and you could turn to page 360 and see 360. I thought this was very interesting that I even opened up to this page. When I saw 360, I thought, 360 is going full circle. And that's what this message is. We're literally going full circle. So the numbers, the numerology is lined up perfect. And also 3, 6, and 0 is a 9, which is the number of completion. That's going full circle, the number of completion. 360 degrees, going full circle. This is where calm endurance and inner strength will bring you full circle in life. And check this out, page 27 to, we're going to read paragraphs 27 to 36. And I didn't do this on purpose, but I did notice this, that 27, 2 and 7 is 9. And to paragraph 36, 3 and 6 is 9. So we have 999 right here in Endarkenment. Everything is light energy. Whether it is solid, gas, liquid, or other, all is vibrating light energy. Whether it's people, places, circumstances, or things, all is still light. When you realize, value yourself as light, and when you realize and value everything you see as light, you will see the oneness of everything as different forms of light. With such an awareness of oneness, the seventh sense, the attuned hip hopper exists in harmony with the cycles and patterns of the universe itself. The attuned hip hopper has freed his mind and can now see, sense God. Now check this out, my nobility. Whenever it says know this, you got to know this. This is so key right here. The strength of a free mind is in not knowing what it cannot do. An uninstitutionalized mind is free to really think and create. It doesn't know what it can't do. For when your mind is truly free and in harmony with the intention of the universe, your thinking, your speaking, and your actions all unconsciously match the mathematics and patterns of the universe itself. It's like the universe plays with you, advises you, and walks with you throughout the day, like another presence or a person that you can actually rely upon. And this is what really gets the work done effortlessly. For as a teacher, you will also be an activist and a helper of the lost. On behalf of God, we literally sacrifice our peace at times for the sake of the world's maturity. However, it is God, a unified field of infinite possibilities, that is actually doing the work. When you are aware of this, it shall be easier to deal with those who surround you with their worries, doubts, and fears. Imagine the Great Spirit has sent you, or rather sacrificed you, for the sake of your world. You are the light of your world. You are God's representative to all the people in your world, and they would be wise to listen to your advice. For as far as your influence shall reach, so shall you be the light of all in your influence. This is the meaning of self-sacrifice. And such sacrifice can only be performed by the lights of eternal mind. Know this. Hip-hop spiritual practice has to do with becoming more spirit than flesh, more godlike than manlike. It has to do with becoming more energy than matter, more principle than politics, more hip-hop than rap. Knowing, feeling, and living in the great boundless cosmic event is the truth. Actually knowing without any doubt or fear that God is with you and that there is nothing after God and that there is only God projecting everything, that everything and everyone, good or evil, is connected and projected by the one great cosmic event, God. The attuned hip-hopper becomes the teacher, fully aware. As the teacher, the attuned hip-hopper sees the world beyond time and separation. For in the oneness of God, everything moves in harmony with your being. Everything is one. Everything is here. This awareness has been called knowledge of wholeness, where reality becomes a matter of what you allow to materially exist out of the great chaotic boundless event that surrounds you, where you are a participant in the unfolding of life itself. Take some time to truly understand this. Once the attuned hip-hopper realizes that there really is no then and now, this and that, him and her, them and us, that in reality, everything is happening in the oneness of the great now event. The attuned hip-hopper matures and begins to further create the actual flow of reality itself. No event is wrong or bad if you live in a reality where all events and circumstances work out in your favor in the end. Life itself moves with the attuned hip-hopper. In his book, The Mystical Christ, Manly P. Hall puts it this way. It is difficult to explain such a term as knowledge of wholeness. The Greek mystics defined it as a participation in causes, by which they meant sole awareness of the divine plan. As the intent and purpose of God is inwardly known, the consciousness is filled with a wonderful understanding that cannot be defined. And look at this right here, what Manly P. Hall's saying, my nobility. When you embrace the wholeness, this is the knowledge of wholeness. When we embrace this all, we embrace this one cosmic event that is happening, this great oneness deity, God. When we embrace this, that everything that is happening is for a reason and for a purpose and for perfection and for the evolution of our soul, of our consciousness. And we become that participant in it when we embrace it. We actually participate in it when we embrace it. And once we have the soul awareness of the divine plan, and we realize that it is the intent and purpose of God is inwardly known, when we find that inner strength, that calm knowing, that inner endurance, that calm endurance and inner self, that inner knowing, that inner sight, that inner being, that inner strength, our consciousness becomes filled with a wonderful understanding that cannot be defined. And that's why it's so wonderful having all of these books that exploring this event or these philosophies or these teachers or all just so much to know and experience from one another, from our friends, from our family, from our children, from our pets, from silence. Because they really can't be described. Like I'm sitting here, I speak every week about the same thing. It's like I'm just describing the same event, the same feeling, the same knowing. The hip hop. I could just say hip hop and be intelligent movement. End of lesson. Because you'll see that intelligent movement is everything, and everything is intelligent movement. And looking back at what we just read in Endarkment, that's embracing that, like, no matter what's happening, it's part of the intelligent movement of God, or it wouldn't be happening. That's embracing, that's the knowledge of wholeness. When you realize that it's not really happening to you. It is happening to you. You're experiencing something real, but it's helping you grow. And when you change the perspective and say, yo, this circumstance, this situation that I'm in that may be disagreeable with me, it's here to help me grow. This adversity that I'm facing is here to help me grow. These challenges that we are facing are here to help us grow. When we realize that and we change our perspective, life itself moves around us, and we do like the teacher's saying there in the gospel. We become at one with our environment. We're in harmony with the nature and the sounds of the universe. We become that harmonic frequency. We start reverberating that. Our water becomes structured, my nobility. Don't miss the water. Never miss the water. I do want to just jump into the closing reading and then make some closing remarks on this. The I Ching, the Chinese Book of Change. This is just what I'm going to read tonight is what started this whole message from the Minista. It led to all of this, from Endarkment lining up completely with it. We saw the numerology in the Endarkment. We're talking about going full circle, going down through the mud, coming back up, becoming the champion again, taking a 360 degree, the change in our life, coming full circle. We talked about that. And we saw the 360, page 360 is a 9, paragraph 27, 2 and 7 is a 9, and paragraph 36 is 9. 999. It's just like lined up. This is the universe itself. This is creation itself speaking to me. I just read it like I let go and let God. Like I wasn't attached to what the message was going to be in that way. I never am. But see how God speaks. This was the message God wanted. And I'll probably, God willing, remember the one that I was all excited to teach this week. But this is what God wanted, right? And so you got to get out of your own way. Let go and let God means like you might be experiencing a lot of resistance in your life, and you might be the one who's resisting God. Probably chances are you're the one resisting God. I know, I've been there. I resisted God a long time. That's why I don't do it no more. It's futile. It doesn't make no sense. Once you go with the flow of the universe, follow life's outcome willingly, you embrace it as it presents itself to you, that's the champion that we're talking about. That's the champion that we're all building ourselves to be. The I Ching. Let's see, where's my marker at here? I'll put this up on the screen here. This is the I Ching 47. Kun. oppression, exhaustion. And this is where this message is for a lot of people, because I've talked to a lot of people who are just exhausted lately, just tired. You know, these last few years, two years have been rough on folks. And a lot of people have been, may not have gone through these. This might be the roughest time in their life they've ever been through, with the jobs shutting down, businesses closing down, government being oppressive, government mandating discrimination against people, infighting between households. I mean, the world is very divided right now, and they've really put a wedge between humanity. But I also believe that they exposed a division that's always existed within humanity. We have to mature past that as hip-hoppers. We've got to look at what the world went through, especially what hip-hop went through, and those in the future, 100 years from now, will know this even better, because you'll very clearly see the conspiracy that has been enacted upon the whole world. You'll just know it. But people nowadays think it's a debate, or they think that the conspiracy is not real. You'll see it for what it is in the future, God willing. But we are living in times of oppression and exhaustion. And remember, exhaustion and oppression begins with ourselves. So let's look at that perspective right here. The lake over water. Lake over water. Oh, how deep is this? A lake over water. That is the symbol for Kuan, oppression. An unavoidable time of adversity. Quiet strength ensures a latter success. Calm endurance, inner strength, quiet strength. An unavoidable time of adversity. See, we are in an unavoidable time of adversity right now. This is what creates you to be empowered. Collectively, we are becoming empowered right now. But you as an individual, you will survive while others fail. Not everyone's going to make it, my nobility. You will, if you are wise. An unavoidable time of adversity. Quiet strength ensures a latter success. It is a time of oppression and exhaustion. None of us escape such moments. They are simply a part of living. By meeting them in their correct spirit and cheerfully bending instead of breaking, you weather the adversity and meet with success at a later time. Inferior elements, either in oneself, another, or the larger world, interfere now to restrain the superior person. It is foolish to fight against the restraint. Success is simply not possible now. Rid yourself of the desire to progress and return to neutrality and acceptance. The stubborn pursuit of results will bring misfortune. They're saying, let go and let God. You're resisting life. This is what happens when we resist life. With others, quietness and equanimity are the watchwords of the moment. Say little and say it gently. A similar reticence and gentleness should be applied to yourself. Do not lapse into impatience or mistrust of the deity. Accept that the creative often works in a way that we cannot see or understand. In the Bible, it says the Spirit moves in mysterious ways. A feeling of despair or depression is a sign that you are holding a false belief. To perpetuate an untruth about yourself, another, or the sage is to block your own happiness. Root out and remove any idea or attitude which causes negative feelings. By opening your mind, quieting your heart, and calmly holding to the proper principles, you make it possible for the creative to eliminate the oppression that currently exists. Look at this right here. Look at the physics of this, my nobility. I'm going to read this little paragraph again. This is physics. This is physics. This is universal law. This is universal principles here. By opening your mind, quieting your heart, and calmly holding to proper principles, you make it possible for the creative to eliminate the oppression that currently exists. The first line. The situation must be met inside of oneself. Allowing despair to take over prevents resolution. Work to have a balanced, cheerful, and accepting attitude. The second line. Your heart feels exhausted. If so, it is impatience and ambition that exhausts it. Actively note your blessings. Concentrate on inner strength and allow the higher power to renew your strength. Third line. Restless effort undermines one's interests. It is unwise to charge repeatedly at a closed door. Withdraw into stillness and accept both the challenges and the blessings of the day. Fourth line. Fixed ideas and a hardened mind are poison. Let go of judgment, including that which is directed at yourself, and turn to the sage for help. If people are judging you, just let go of it and turn to your sage for help. Who is the sage? Your higher self, your Christ within, your Hippopia, your promised land. Fifth line. Even a superior person is oppressed now. Modesty and reliance on quiet truth preserve you in this difficult hour. Sixth line. The difficulty is coming to a close, but only if one is firm against harshness, doubt, and despair. Help only comes when there is room for it to enter. Look at that. You let go of the harshness, the doubt, and the despair. When we let go of those things, help comes because there's room for the help to enter. Help only comes when there is room for it to enter? Wow. Calm endurance, inner strength. That's when the help comes. Because you're creating the space for it to enter. When we enter into our calm endurance and inner strength, we're creating the space for the help to enter. And where's the help coming from? God. The great event. The great oneness deity. My nobility. Imagine that all you need is with you now. You don't got to go outside for it. You ain't got to even listen to me for it. You ain't got to listen to nobody for it. It's wise to listen to those who've walked the path and learn, but ultimately you have to walk the path, and your path will be different. Even if we're walking the same path, our experience is different. Go on a hike. Everybody, you can go on a hike with 15 people that all walk the same path. Everybody's going to walk the path differently, take different measured steps. People are going to look at different trees and branches, different things. People have different things in their mind. Those who even walk the same path are going to have a completely different experience than the others walking what appears to be the same path. It's not the same path because perception creates reality. How do you perceive yourself? What do you perceive yourself as? How do you know thyself? You like my calendar here? You look at this is the Temple of Hip Hop. February, we got it open to 2022. Big up to the Queen, Desire Nobility 1, for this incredible artwork on this calendar. Just want to say, look at this beauty here. Let's just take and put this into history. The official Temple of Hip Hop calendar right here. We've got, the Divine Performance in January. This is when we started our Divine Performance Challenge, so we put that for January. For February, being Black History Month, know thyself, know thyself. March, we have the real hip hop is over here. April, we have the H-Law, 4th month. H-Law is the 4th overstanding. Health, love, awareness, and wealth. That's the 4. That's that's the core. That's the structured core of April. May is Hip Hop Appreciation Week, right? May. Every third week in May is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. June, we have Victory Over the Streets. Look at this. Look at this artwork. Just absolutely stunning. She just did such an amazing job. The Inner City for July. August, I am hip hop. August is the teacher's birthday, so we put I am hip hop there since this is his philosophy there. August 20th is his birthday, 1965. The 9 elements for September. September, funny. Sept is like not 9. Sept is 10, I believe. So they got all our months messed up. 9 elements: breaking, emceeing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, street entrepreneurialism, hip hop culture. October, we have hip hop culture is more than music. Hip hop culture is more than music for October. November, we have Hip Hop History Month is November. So we got that there. And in closing, in December, rap is something we do. Hip hop is something we live. We're living hip hop. That's what this discussion is about, the living of hip hop. Plain and simple. That's what every message from the Minista about is spiritually live hip hop, living out hip hop. We have, just a nice page at the end, the Temple of Hip Hop. Looks wonderful. Rap is something we do. Hip hop is something we live. We just wanted to give you both versions of that because we couldn't decide because they're both so dope. And then on the back, you could tag your name there. Get a metallic marker and tag your name. This is a collector's item. We're selling these for $25. TOHH calendar at Gmail is the PayPal link. If you're international, you got to send an extra $15 because international shipping has gotten really expensive lately. Know thyself. Oh, bust your safety pin. Know thyself. I didn't know my own strength. Let me get another pen over here. Just wanted to shout out that calendar for a moment. That I turned around and looked at that. I was like, wait a minute. Let's talk about what's up here on the wall. This is about self-knowledge, right? This it takes inner knowing, calm endurance, and inner strength to know thyself. That was the big piece in the first Matrix movie, when Neo first met the Oracle, and looking up on the wall while they were having their discussion, in Latin it said, "Know thyself" up on the wall. Really, really, really important. Know thyself. It's one of the great, esoteric, philosophical, spiritual. It just covers all of those. The great thinkers of the past, the great philosophies of the past. Know thyself, my nobility. Calm endurance, inner strength. Know thyself. Because when you know yourself in any situation, you realize that this environment is you. Know thyself. See? And apply this a little earlier. Let's bring this full circle. Let's go 360 with this now. Earlier on, we were talking about that Sensei Professor Lehu was showing that, like when he's in combat, he's like, all this is me too. All this space is me. All this space is me. That floor is me. That wall is me. The ceiling is me. That chair is me. That table is me. All of it I am. Right? So when you know yourself as all of it. This environment is me. And then all of a sudden you start moving your environment, and your environment stops moving you. And this isn't about, I want to move my environment and collect a bunch of stuff and own a bunch of things and have a bunch of money. And that is for some people. That's where they're at. But specifically, this is energetic. We talked about in Endarkenment, everything is light energy. And at its source is thought of light energy, is thought at the very source of light energy. That's the word. The thought is the word. Your word speaks. That's the word is thought. In the beginning was the word. It wasn't a mouth saying it. This mouth, it's a thought that says the word first. Thought is an invisible, speaks the word, and then we say the word out loud. And if you notice, sound is invisible. The words I'm saying are invisible, but they create a vision and a scene and all the pictures in our head. And so all of it I am, and all of the space, calm, endurance, inner strength, know thyself. Let me know myself as all of this. Let me embrace all of this. And then when we embrace it and we don't resist it, we create the space for God's help to come in. And we all need God's help at some time in life, if not always. Know thyself, my nobility, calm endurance, inner strength. No matter where you're at on your quest, perform that discipline. Perform that knowing. Perform that peace. Perform your God. You are the answer to your suffering, my nobility. I mean, God is the answer. But until you know that, like, I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible, even though things are happening out of my control and people are doing things against me and people are doing things that are hurting me and oppression is here. I'm still responsible for how I react to this. I'm still responsible for who I am after this is over. I'm still responsible for getting through this. Perform that responsibility, calm endurance and inner strength. As you go forward in this week, my nobility, walk forward with a warm heart, and there it is. Oh, I almost forgot. Take care of yourself for other people. Take care of yourself for other people. Eat right. So if those who don't eat right are like playing roulette, that they're just praying and hoping that their wife or their children or their husband or whoever will take care of them in their old age, or that they'll have the money to pay somebody to take care of them. You got to take care of yourself for the sake of others. You know, I see a lot of men out there who just be overeating, and they got 3 or 4 kids. They're just saying, fuck it, I'm going to be a burden to my kids and not have a healthy diet. I'm not going to take care of my heart and my body. I'm just going to be unhealthy, and I'll just be a burden to my wife and my kids in the future. People don't think like that, but this is what happens. I've watched it with 2 generations on my father's side of the family. First my grandfather, then my father. Didn't believe a word anybody said about their health. My dad thought I was nuts when I was telling him he had to cut out soda pop. I was like, dude, you cannot drink 40 grams of sugar 3 times a day and expect good results. He didn't want to listen to me most of the time. He did exercise and started walking, which was good, but he wouldn't change his diet. And he suffered the same fate as the crappy diet, SAD, Standard American Diet, SAD. The acronym for Standard American Diet is SAD, right? And so he didn't take care of himself in that way. So now he's a burden on my mom and myself. And I love him, and he lived his life and he's living his life and all of that. But it would behoove me if I didn't pass on this lesson from direct experience. Take care of yourself so your loved ones don't have to take care of you. So this new form of spirituality is this me spirituality. It's not spirituality, but this me selfishness that's come along. Most people, all these people walking around all selfish, me. Like, if you care about your loved ones, if you care about your kids, you don't want to be a burden on your kids. Take care of your health now. I mean, it's the cycle of life that children take care of their parents the way the parents took care of their children. But how big of a burden do you want to be on your kids? You got to change those. You got to make the healthy choices. And I mean, extremely healthy choices. So your body doesn't shut down when you're 70 years old. Your mind's not just gone and your heart's gone at 70 years old. And you got to have people carry you everywhere, and do everything for you. And that goes for spirituality. That's what I wanted to say. This is that calm endurance and inner strength, building up your inner immune system, your spiritual immune system. As we build ourselves up spiritually and physically and mentally and emotionally, when we become that like whole being, we become that wholeness, we become that hip-hoppa, like we're taking care of ourselves for other people as well. And there it is, my nobility. Go forward in your week in peace, love, unity, having fun, health, love, awareness, and wealth, peace and prosperity. And there it is. Hey!